Welcome in the Vikings Now. I am your host, Patrick Seatman. You guys are listening to Vikings Now by Chat Sports, who are 5-1. The Minnesota Vikings, obviously today, got the victory over the Miami Dolphins with a final score of 24-16, and this was a grudge match. But thank God the Vikings got out of there with a victory, going down to Miami and getting a win. Looking at the stat sheet right now, Kirk Cousins, 20 of 30, 175 yards with 2 touchdowns. Dalvin Cook, pretty non-existent the entire day except for that one 68-yard touchdown run he had in the fourth quarter. He ended up with 13 carries for 77 yards and a touchdown. Justin Jefferson, man, every single week he's over 100. 6 receptions, 107 yards. And then former Vikings quarterback Teddy Bridgewater had a pretty solid day in the second half. The Miami Dolphins offensive line was in shambles the entire game. 29 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions for him. Raheem Mostert, 14 carries, 49 yards, and Tyreek Hill, he was absolutely fantastic today. Really the biggest burst of life from this Dolphins offense with 12 receptions and 177 yards. Guys, sub for Vikings Dubs, man. This is it. The 4-game winning streak. This channel, I swear to God, every single day I'm asking you guys, can we hit 6,300? Can we hit 6,400? Can we hit 6,500 subs off today's video? You look down there, you'll see Vikings Now. Let's say 6.42 or whatever it is. Let's go make it say 6.5K. Let's hit 6,500 subs off to today's video. This channel's hot. The Vikings are hot. Let's keep it going. Go down, hit that subscribe button, sub for Minnesota Vikings Dubs. So obviously today, this was a grind of a matchup. The Vikings, in the first half, it felt like we had more 3-and-outs than first downs. And I think at a point, the Vikings had 8 3-and-outs and only 7 first downs today. But main highlight I got to start with, it's got to be Justin Jefferson. I swear to God, every single week, this guy, and it'll be on my keys to victory, I'll say, get Jefferson the ball. He's the best player on the field every single game he walks out there. Today, it was another example. No Miami DB could hold him one-on-one in man coverage, and every single time the Vikings offense became still, the Vikings offense couldn't pick up first downs or to just even continue drives. Where did they go? They went right here. They went to 18. And then Kirk Cousins. I honestly thought Kirk Cousins, even though his stats aren't going to blow you out of the water today, going only 20 of 30, 175 yards and 2 touchdowns, I thought Kirk was actually probably his best game of the year outside of week 1 against the Packers. He took care of the ball today. No costly turnovers that could have easily got the Miami Dolphins back in today's football game. Like I said, taking care of the ball, and then also Kirk, just taking what the defense gives you. Never really asserted himself or pushed the ball downfield when he didn't need to. Kirk, great game out of you, but I want to get your guys' one-word reaction to the game. One word. You get one word to describe that kind of mayhem. It was a little boring at spots, but overall the Vikings getting out of Miami with a victory. My one word, I'm going to go with needed. I think the Vikings, if you're looking at the NFC North after this week, and those Green Bay Packers lost to the New York Jets, so the Vikings have a 2-game lead in the NFC North going into their bye week next week. My one word, I'm going to go needed. Let me know your one word down below in the comments. Vikings, 24, Miami Dolphins, 16. And like I mentioned a little bit, the Green Bay Packers lost today to the New York Jets. I'm not saying that the Vikings almost have the NFC North clinched up already, but the Packers look like a dumpster fire. And the Minnesota Vikings are now sitting at 5-1, and now they have their bye week. And then coming out of their bye week, it's the Arizona Cardinals. Fun fact about that Cardinals game. Kyler Murray. We're actually playing the Cardinals 2 days after the new Call of Duty comes out. If you guys know, you know. So the Vikings are obviously going to get the Cardinals following their bye. I think that could be a win. And then they're going to Washington in Kirk Cousins' first game back in Washington since he actually joined the Minnesota Vikings. So I think this football team, could we be sitting at 7-1, 8-1, heading into weeks 9 or 10? I think you definitely have a chance. Overall, I do think this game, like I said, it was just needed, man. Anytime you're going to Miami, it's a very tough place to play. Not because of the fan environment. I don't think it's like Arrowhead or Buffalo where you literally can't hear yourself in the huddle, but just mainly the heat. The fact that it was snowing in Minnesota the day the team traveled down to Miami, I think it kind of says something, that they were still to be able to be resilient and go into Miami and get a win, no matter if the Dolphins Tua was hurt. They had some injuries to their offensive line. I thought the Vikings, through 4 quarters, yes, the Dolphins had that late touchdown to kind of give themselves a chance, but it was a pretty tight game. But I thought the Vikings just played well overall and played well enough to get a win. Let me know what you guys think, though. Predict the Vikings record after today. I do this after every post or after every game, or I get down and I ask you guys. First week, I remember I was pretty on my high horse. I was saying 15-2. And then after week 2, the loss to the Philadelphia Eagles, I was saying more 10-7. After ripping off 4 in a row, I think we're back on the 15-2 train. This team's 5-1, favorable schedule. Yes, tough games coming up against the Buffalo Bills and the Dallas Cowboys. But this team, we're on fire. This team's hot. Subscribers are hot in the channel. But get down in the comments and predict the Vikings schedule, or predict the Vikings record after today's victory. And again, some stats from today that I kind of want to go over. That's shocking that the Vikings got a victory. They were 2 of 12 on third down, with the Miami Dolphins staying at 4 out of 14. The fact that this team went 2 of 12 on third down, and really it wasn't a close game at the end, they still were able to come out of there with the victory. Listen to this. Vikings total amount of yards on the entire day, 234 yards. That's incredible. I mean, Kirk Cousins, no turnovers from the offense today. Kirk was pretty damn good. Red zone, 2 of 3. But, hey, no penalties, no turnovers, and we didn't play a good game. You know, I think if we would have had penalties, if we would have had turnovers, I think this would have definitely been a typical Miami trap game down there. But the Vikings ended up getting a victory after coming out of Miami. I mean, honestly, I'm fired up, man. I mean, this team, if you're talking about going into the year and you looked at the first 6 games, and if I were going to come to you and tell you 7 weeks ago, yeah, the Vikings were going to be 5-1 after those first 6 games. Overall, great win, a much-needed victory for the Minnesota Vikings. In the NFC North, man, looking at it right now, Packers, Lions, and Bears, I'm not saying the Packers are a dumpster fire yet, but dropping back-to-back games against the Giants and the Jets, I think they are extremely nervous, and I think the Vikings now sitting at 5-1. The NFC North, I would love to check the odds after today's game on if the Vikings have the best odds by a margin. They already had the best odds going into this week. I think the Vikings could be sitting at minus 200 right now to win the division. But I appreciate you guys for watching the entire show today. If you guys made it to the end, I always appreciate you guys. You guys are real ones. And type it down below. I want to see where you guys are at. We're the real Vikings fans. We're the real fans of Vikings now. Overall, great game for the Vikes. They were actually Miami held the ball for 10 more minutes than the Minnesota Vikings today, which is something special. Miami did struggle with penalties throughout the game. They had 10 penalties for 97 yards, but I think the Vikings defense overall was great. There's really no run game for the Vikings at all, which kind of also speaks to Kirk Cousins' performance, why I do think he had a very solid game, even though the overall passing numbers really didn't blow you out of the water. But Dalvin Cook today, shout out to him playing in his hometown, Miami. He ended up having 13 carries for 77 yards and a touchdown. Obviously, I think about 68 of those yards came on that huge 68-yard touchdown run in the 4th quarter. But wow, the Vikings only having 11 first downs on the entire game, and the Dolphins having 23 first downs. That just speaks to it. I mean, the Dolphins really outplayed the Vikings in this entire, start to finish. If you had to pick a team that played better football consistently throughout the game, it had to be the Miami Dolphins. But the Vikings, situationally, taking care of the football, playing clean football, no costly penalties. Shout out to the Vikes. That's the biggest reason why they were to get out of Miami with a 24-16 victory and really setting themselves up to take home that NFC North Championship. Thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate everybody who tunes into these shows every day. It really makes my day. Can't wait to hop in the comments and chop it up with you guys about our Minnesota Vikings. See you guys next time. SKOL Vikes.